global payroll landscape is changing and the trend is for outsourcing. Frontier Software understands this, and Frontier Software is here to describe to you the relationship between the vendor and the client in an outsourcing model. You had 110 plus clients. We process pays for 110,000 employees. We manage 3,300 pay runs with a payroll bill of $9.5 billion plus. All EFTs were delivered on time. In today's webinar, you'll be introduced to the outsourcing team. The leadership team comprises of the transitional consultant, the team leader, and the service delivery manager. As part of the arrangement with the client, the transitional consultant gets involved with the project and defines your business processes, which leads to delivering quality and accurate payroll. The team leader, who manages a team of subject matter experts, payroll professionals that we have recruited, trained, will manage your day-to-day payroll function. They will be your contact on a day-to-day basis. Your service delivery manager is an escalation point to ensure your service delivery under your contract is maintained. They coordinate operational meetings to look at continuous improvement within your payroll, to deliver best practice in running your payroll. There are three main reasons why Frontier Software clients have engaged with us. One, the cost of doing business in managing payroll. Is it being treated as a core business activity? This is a very fundamental decision that is made by clients today to consider outsourcing. Two, single point of failure, staff. Do they have the right number of staff to manage their payroll processing? What's their recruitment strategy like? How do they retain those payroll staff? These subject matter experts are becoming more difficult to recruit. Three, compliance. A lot of clients today have trouble with meeting compliance. Therefore, outsourcing their payroll gives them comfort and confidence that the outsourcing provider can provide the compliance around payroll. Outsourcing is not limited to organisational size. Outsourcing is available to organisations with 1 employee right up to 100,000 employees. At Frontier Software, our client base ranges from 1 employee to 80,000 employees. It's not a measure of the number of employees on why you want to outsource. The decision to outsource are based on those 3 common reasons: costs, single point of failure, compliance. Frontier Software Payroll Services is for any organisation, large or small. When clients outsource to Frontier Software, we define the roles and responsibilities in the payroll services that we are to deliver to the client. Through those roles and responsibilities, a client will identify what resource they need to validate the payroll, to sign off the payroll, and more importantly, to be the contact between the client and Frontier Software. When you outsource with Frontier Software, there are 3 service models which will determine what resources the client will require and retain. The partial outsource, where the client manages all data, will ultimately need a full-time resource. Frontier will have a resource to manage the payroll processing. Fully managed service, the client would require a resource to provide instructions and data to the payroll team at Frontier Software. This resource at the client under a fully managed service would probably be a part-time resource. Under the BPO service, Frontier Software manages everything, including your employee contact centre. Therefore, a client needs to determine whether they need a full-time resource, a part-time resource, or whether the contact is disseminated to their stakeholders within their organisation. So no matter what model you choose with Frontier Software, you will need to retain a resource. In an outsourcing environment, the client has responsibility to sign off on the payroll. As a provider of outsourcing to clients, the payroll team is responsible to ensure the accuracy and deliverables in regards to the instructions for payroll are met. They are checked by the payroll team member and validated by another team member. We employ what we call a 4I principle, so that we ensure that the accuracy is at 100%, and we pass through comments on variances for each report for each employee to the client to approve the payroll and approve the EFT. All our payroll services team members come with 2 to 5 years of payroll experience. They are accredited in our system and they have ongoing training on the payroll subject matter. We are engaged with organisations to run payroll tax training, organisations that run payroll and termination training. This is done on a yearly basis. One of the key areas of training is our compliance training for our staff. That covers the area of PAYG, taxation, termination taxation, superannuation, the SGC, and single touch payroll, which was recently introduced into the Australian landscape. Frontier Software has a very robust business continuity plan in place. Frontier Software engages with its clients on annual BCP tests. This gives comfort to clients that we have the right BCP plan in place to ensure employees are paid accurately, on time, all the time. Frontier Software tech support team that supports the payroll services team continuously manages the BCP, tests the BCP on an annual basis, and ensures that any gaps are filled to ensure that we have the right processes in place in the event that we need to call a BCP. Well, we all recall in South Australia where Adelaide basically lost all power. It was processing day for our team in the Adelaide office, and basically they were working in the dark. We had to call our BCP, relocate all our payroll staff to our BCP site, which was some 20 kilometres from our home centre, and continue the processing. The EFT was processed that night and all those employees were paid the following day. Compliance of payroll, cost savings, and continuity of service. That's what Frontier Payroll Services provides.
Our professional services team comprises of a number of specialists that are there to gather your company's information and process during an initial scoping session. This generally forms the basis of the system configuration. The next session is with the service delivery manager, the team leader, transitional consultant, and payroll services team member during a business process workshop. This is designed to build a relationship and to lay out the foundations so the teams can work cohesively together to achieve the desired outcome. As a transitional consultant, I was on hand for our clients to help them to understand these requirements and to make the transition as seamless as possible. The key benefit of our clients is the ability to contact their payroll services team member for any of their business requirements. Meeting the timelines as set out and agreed to in the payroll calendar is the toughest challenge. As a transitional consultant, they are on hand to provide hypercare support to help you transition through this and to meet your timelines.
At Frontier Software, a client will have a dedicated team member or two that they can contact on a daily basis should they need to. This will be more frequent during payroll processing times and less frequent during other times of the month or the fortnight, depending on their payroll processing times. We do recommend any conversations held over the phone that we follow up with an email so both parties have it in writing and have a clear understanding of what's due, and timelines can be arranged, met, and follow-up emails can be forwarded back to finalise particular items. Sometimes a client will contact us in regards to an aspect of their payroll. For example, an overpaid superannuation, how would they deal with that? Another example we just had recently was a client contacted us in regards to an employee who wanted to salary sacrifice some funds directly into superannuation. So what we can do for these clients in this situation is we can point them to areas of the ATO or other legislation where they can review that information for themselves. With our expertise, transitioning to an outsourced payroll is easy. A challenge for some clients when they first come to Frontier Software in an outsourcing arrangement is around data integrity and their subject matter experts. The reason we need great buy-in from the subject matter experts is to ensure the data integrity that we get through the system and the implementation process is sound. It leads to a quality outcome because the quality of data is accurate. In an outsourcing environment, the team leader's role is backup for the team member's role and also an escalation point for the clients. Should there be any issues that come up that the clients need resolving that the team member themselves can't assist with, it would then come to the team leader, and the team leader would get in contact with the client and discuss what needs to be done and how we can resolve particular issues.
Frontier Software believe it's important to have a good understanding of the client's payroll and their internal processes. So Frontier Software would undertake a implementation study and a business process workshop also. And once we have all this information, we can put together a payroll services manual, which would document the full end-to-end process for the client's payroll. Areas that would be covered would be onboarding, leave management, how we would process the client's allowance, deductions and super for the employee. It would also focus on any adjustments we might need to process, how we process the client's termination payments, whether it's redundancy or resignation, and we'd also ensure that we're meeting all statutory compliances. For example, how do we pay the employees and the client's PAYG, how we'd process the payroll tax, and also how we process super for the client. It's only natural that the client may have concerns about outsourcing their payroll. So we show a client that we understand their payroll by having a payroll services manual, which the client and the Frontier Software payroll team member can refer back to at any point of time. That manual constantly gets updated with the changing requirements that the client might have as well. So we like to cover areas such as onboarding, leave maintenance, how we would process the client's allowances, deductions, super, any adjustments that might be paid, how we would process the termination. And so we're always touching base with the client to see regularly if any of those areas need to be updated and to have a full understanding of when their business requirements might change. Sometimes we have clients that want to change the way we process their payroll. At Frontier Software, that's not a problem at all. Frontier Software have service delivery managers who work closely with the clients to have operational meetings, and in those operational meetings they may raise concerns or they may have project items that they want to develop within their business. So it's really about the service delivery manager, the team leader within payroll services and the team member getting together and working through these tasks that the client would like to discuss. So Frontier Software have service delivery managers who work quite closely with the clients, and the service delivery manager will organise meetings with the client, whether it might be weekly when they first implement, then it might go to fortnightly or monthly, depending on items that might need to be discussed or project tasks that the client might want to implement. So we're open to having meetings with our clients, whether it be weekly, fortnightly, monthly. Some clients decide that they might want to have 6 monthly meetings or yearly meetings. But overall, we like to touch base with our clients at least once a month to ensure that the service and any items that they need to discuss are actioned. So items that the client might want to discuss is future leave that the client internally might be taking. They might want to discuss their salary increases, their bonuses that they need to pay. So we work through all those type of items to ensure that we're meeting the client's needs. So Frontier Software have 3 levels of service. We've got partially managed services, we've got fully managed services and BPO services. Depending on what service the client selects, depends on whether the employees can contact the Frontier Software Payroll Services contact centre. So the partially managed clients, it's only their key stakeholders who can contact the payroll services team. Fully managed, it's the same as the partial one. We have our key contact people from the clients who can contact us. However, the BPO service allows the employees to call Frontier Software Payroll Services directly in the employee support centre. When the clients or the employees call Frontier Software Payroll Services, they are asked a number of security questions so we can ensure that we're speaking to the right person. So once the employee calls through, we would then ask them a series of security questions to validate and make sure that we're speaking to the right employees. Once we've obtained all this information and we know who we're speaking to, we would then log the call so that we're able to track who's calling through, why they're calling through, and identify what the solution was to their actual query in the first place. We can then provide this information to the client, and we can also review it internally so that Frontier Software can analyse, along with the client, why the employees are calling through and what the main issues are. And as part of identifying all that information, then we can then work towards solutions as to how we can better improve the process and reduce the number of calls coming in from the clients.